In this video, we are going to learn how to build and deploy a Java web application, which we have checked in inside Bitbucket repository. And we are going to create a Jenkins Freestyle job. And then we will be build using Maven and then deploy that Java web application from Jenkins into Tomcat. And then as part of this video, we will also learn how to enable code coverage using JaCoCo. Awesome. So let's quickly go over the prerequisites. So we need to have Jenkins setup. We also need to have a Tomcat setup. And then we also need to have a Java web application setup in Bitbucket. So I have all three of them up and running over here. So this is my Jenkins newly configured, and this is my Tomcat newly configured. And then this is my Bitbucket repository, which has a Java web application. Very simple Java web application. This is not a microservice, but simple Java web application. Okay. So that's the prerequisites. Okay. And then as part of the demo, what we will be doing is we will be configuring Maven in the Jenkins, and then we will we will install necessary plugins, deploy the container plugin, JaCoCo plugins in Jenkins, and then we will go ahead and then create a freestyle job. And then we will configure that freestyle job with the Bitbucket URL. And then if you want to check out code from Bitbucket from Jenkins, you need to create app password in Bitbucket. You cannot use Bitbucket credential. You need to create something called app password. And then we will configure that freestyle job to deploy Java web application into Tomcat. And then we will also enable JaCoCo code coverage. Okay. And then once the freestyle job is configured, we will make some code changes just to make sure that the deployment is working fine. All right, so this is exactly what we are going to do in this short video. All right, so let's get started. All right, let's get started. If you go to my website, so coachdevOps.com, this is my website. I will be posting the link right below the video as well. And then let's try to understand a little bit more in detail, right? So this is exactly what we are going to do. Okay, so this is Jenkins setup, which also has Maven installed. And then this is Tomcat setup. And then, we are going to enable JaCoCo. And then this is our Java code, which has been checked in Bitbucket. Okay. And then we will make some code change that is going to trigger the build. And Jenkins is going to build using Maven and then integrate with JaCoCo for code coverage. And then finally, Jenkins will deploy into Tomcat, right? So using this setup, we should be able to automate the build, automate the unit test execution, automate code coverage checks, as well as automate the deployment as well. Okay, so we are enabling kind of continuous integration, right? Perfect. All right, so let's start the lab. So like I said, we already have everything set up, but as part of Jenkins, we need to go ahead and then configure Maven installation as well as deploy the container plugin and JaCoCo plugin. So let me go into Jenkins. So go to manage Jenkins. I have already configured Jenkins. Okay. If you want to learn how to set up Jenkins, you can definitely click on this link. Same thing. If you want to learn how to set up Tomcat, you can click on this link. This will take you to how to set up those tools. Okay. So I'm not going to cover that as part of this particular video. All right, so let's go ahead and then configure Jenkins where Maven is installed. I have already installed Maven inside Jenkins. Okay, so all you have to do is go under global tool configuration and then click on Maven installation, click on add Maven. Like I said, I have already installed Maven. So I'm going to say Maven 3. Let's say you have not installed Maven. So what you can do, you can enter the Maven variable name and then you can click on install automatically. But like I said, I have already installed Maven. So usually the Maven path is, this is a Maven path. Okay. And then go ahead and then click on apply. Save. All right. And then let's go ahead and install necessary plugins. So as you can see in this, article, we have to install deploy to container plugin and then JaCoCo plugin. So let me go ahead and install them. So go to available tab. So search for deploy to and select that one. And then let's also go ahead and then install JaCoCo plugin. So JaCoCo is the code coverage tool. So let's go ahead and then install these two plugins. Install without restart. You don't have to restart Jenkins. And whenever you install plugin, you don't have to. If you want, you can do that. All right, so plugin got installed. Let's go to the dashboard. I think we took care of all the prerequisites. Okay, now let's start our creating a freestyle job, right? So let's go here and click on create a job. And then let's give some name. So I'm going to give some name. I'm going to give my first automate job. Click on freestyle project and then click on OK. So freestyle is one of the simplest ways of automating your build, automating your deployment. There are so many ways you can implement CI, but this video talks about just creating a freestyle job. You can definitely browse my channel to learn more about how to create different type of pipelines like scripted pipeline, declarative pipeline, multi-branch pipeline and all. But this is a very simple and short video which just covers the freestyle part of it. Okay. All right. So let's click on Git. So we are going to provide a Bitbucket URL. So this is my Bitbucket URL. All right, so this is my Bitbucket URL. So now it is complaining already that it is not able to check out the code. So the way Jenkins is going to check out the code from Bitbucket is we need to enter a Bitbucket credential, but you cannot enter Bitbucket credential. What we have to do is we have to use something called app password. So how do you create the app password? So go to Bitbucket settings. You see here personal settings, and then click on app password. So look at that. App password is going to allow user to access Bitbucket account, right? So through any tool. Okay. So we need to generate the app password here. So click on app password. I'm going to say my Jenkins, use or something, and then make sure you give a read and write permission, right? And then click on create. So now the password has been created. So copy that. And then click on add. Click on add Jenkins. And then we are going to give a Bitbucket username. We are going to give Bitbucket username here. So as you can see, that is my Bitbucket username. So let me go ahead and then enter that. And then the password should be our app password. So this is our app password. So copy that. Okay. And then here I'm going to say Bitbucket credentials and then click on add. And then you're going to select that from the drop down. So the moment you select the right credential, there you go. You see here, if we did not select the credential, you would get this error. But moment you enter the correct credentials with the app password, so basically it should be your Bitbucket username and then the app password, right? So once you enter it, you will not see that error anymore. And then it is asking for the branch. So let's see what is the branch. So the branch name is master here, right? As you can see here. So I'm going to leave it as it is. That's fine. So that is for checking out the code from Bitbucket. So let's move on. Now we have to enable how to trigger build in Jenkins, right? So of course there are several ways you can trigger the build. Let's go ahead with the poll SEM. So this is like a simplest way of configuring. So you can also get the syntax. So let's say I want to build once in every 2 minutes. Then I'm going to enable this option, right? Okay, and then of course, based on the requirement, you can copy the syntax and then you can customize. Okay, but just for the demo purpose, I'm going to go ahead with that option. Perfect. So now let's move on to build step. So this is where we are going to use Maven. So if you see here, click on invoke top level Maven target. So click on that one. We have already configured Maven. So I'm going to go ahead with Maven 3 and then we have to provide Maven goal. I'm going to say clean install and then click on advanced. So this is where we are going to provide the path of pom.xml file. My pom.xml file resides inside my web app. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and then provide that. So let's go ahead and then provide that my web app, and it is case sensitive obviously, so make sure you give the path correctly. Okay, perfect. All right, that is good. And then that is pretty much done over there. And then we are going to go ahead and then deploy into Tomcat. So select this option, deploy var/year container, and then we have to provide the path of var file. So generally you can also give like this. This is like a short form. I will tell you where this is actually coming from after I configure the job. Now we are going to select the container. So we are going to go ahead and then select the Tomcat 9. So we have to provide Tomcat credentials. So the way you would know your Tomcat credential is, let me quickly log in into Tomcat and then I'll show you what. So that is my Tomcat. So if you see here, Tomcat got installed under this directory. Okay, and then if you see inside, there is a conf folder. Let's go inside of that conf folder, and then you are gonna see Tomcat user.xml file. So if you try to view that file, there you go. You see here. So I have specified the username as Tomcat, password as a password. Let me show you. Let me try to go inside. I'm not going to make changes. There you go. See it? So the username is Tomcat and password is password. So that is how I have configured Tomcat. But based on your username and password, you can go ahead and then configure. So we need to let Jenkins know what is the Tomcat credential. So click on add Jenkins. I'm going to say username as Tomcat and then password as the password. And then here I'm going to say Tomcat credential, right? And then click on add. And then we need to select that from the drop down. Okay, perfect. And then we have to provide the Tomcat URL here. So this is the Tomcat URL. So let's go ahead and then provide the Tomcat URL. So that's pretty much over here, right? So we have added Tomcat URL, Tomcat credentials, and then where the var file is located. This is kind of a short form. Okay, so that's pretty much over there. So now we have to enable only one thing more, right? So we need to enable JaCoCo. So all you have to do is, under add post bill action, click on record JaCoCo coverage report. So this is the code coverage tool. It is going to, look at the code. It's going to provide, the code coverage, right? Based on what developers have, written, the unit test and whatnot. Okay. So that's pretty much over there. Let's click on apply and save. So let's quickly review the configuration. So basically, we have provided Bitbucket URL, and then we have added Bitbucket username and then app password, not Bitbucket password, but app password. So we have created app password separately, and then we have to provide the branch name, whether it is master or main, whatever the branch name we are going to provide. And then we are going to, specify like how we are going to trigger the build. So I wanted to kickstart through Polysium. This is like a scheduling. If you want to enable webhooks, you can go ahead with a different option. Okay, I have a separate video on that. You can learn how to enable webhooks in Bitbucket. And then we have configured Maven details here, right, for building. So Maven 3, and then this is a Maven goal, and then we have configured pom.xml file path as well. And then finally we have enabled JaCoCo under post bill action, and then we have configured Tomcat information here for deploying the jar into a Tomcat. So that's it, right? So click on apply and save. So now if you see here, the job is already running, right? So right now it is in the process of kickstarting already. There you go. So we got success. Okay, so now if I go to my Tomcat, if I say my web app, there you go. Wow, see here. So we are able to see the output. So if you're wondering where this is coming from, so go to Bitbucket repository here, click on my web app. So this is where it is coming from, right? Index.jsp. This is a very simple Java based application. So now why don't we do one thing? Why don't we go ahead and then make some code change? So I'm going to edit this. I'm going to say we are implementing CI, okay, using Jenkins Freestyle Job. Okay, so let me delete this one for now. Okay, or if you want, you can keep it, that's fine. Right, so we have to see this change right now, right? Okay, all right, so let me click on commit. So I'm going to provide a proper commit message here. So I'm going to say testing Bitbucket and Jenkins integration. Okay, click on commit. So now I have committed the code in Bitbucket, right? So if we go to history, we should be able to see our code changes, isn't it? So that's our code change right there. So now what Jenkins should be doing. So as we have configured to kickstart the build once in every 2 minutes, right? Right, once in every 2 minutes. So what Jenkins is going to do, our first build was already, ran, right? So now it is going to see within 2 minutes, okay? Within 2 minutes, if there is a code change in Bitbucket, it will go ahead and then trigger the build, okay? So let's take a look at it here. See here, the build has started and you can click on the blue bar. So it says that, the build started by an SCM change. So now we should be able to see the output, right? So go to the Tomcat URL and click on refresh. Wow, there you go. You see guys, so we are able to see our code change, whatever we have done in Bitbucket. So let's try to learn a couple of other things, right? So remember I talked about the path of war file,